Palestinian refugee camps in Lebanon. Burj Al-Barajneh camp. Burj Al-Barajneh camp is located in the southern suburbs of Beirut, about 2 kilometers from the Beirut International Airport, surrounded by the neighborhoods of Al-Ramle Al-Ali, Hayt Tahrir, Bajur, and Ain al-Sikke. It is also 91 kilometers away from Palestine. The camp was established in 1948 by the League of Red Cross Societies to house Palestinian refugees who were driven out of their homes and villages in the Galilee in northern Palestine. The United Nations Relief and Works Agency for Palestinian Refugees in the Near East, also known as UNRWA, took over the camp in 1950. It was established by Resolution Number 302 of the United Nations General Assembly on December 8, 1949, aiming to provide direct relief and employment programs for Palestinian refugees, and it began operations on May 1, 1950. The area of the camp when it was established was about 1 kilometer square, but with the increase in population, its area is now estimated to be about 2 kilometers square. Ahmed Ali al-Hajj shows in his book Burj Al-Barajneh Camp, The Shadow of Death and Life, that commercial relations between the merchants of the town of Burj Al-Barajneh and the town of Tarshiha in the Galilee before the year of 1948. Quote, and 6 months before the fall of Tarshiha, one of its leaders, Salim Mustafa, sought refuge in Alay in Lebanon to escape a possible war. Of course, he contacted his acquaintances and friends, the most important of whom was Al-Mukhtar Hassan al-Sabah, who then contacted those who were displaced from the village of Tarshiha and offered to host them. He gathered the people of Burj Al-Barajneh and asked each able person to host a refugee family in an empty room of their house. A few months later, Sheikh Mohammed Naimeh offered Mukhtar Hassan al-Sabah to host the Palestinians on his land, which was later known as Jurat al-Tarashha. Hajj Ali adds, quoting sources indicated in his book, the first tent was erected in the camp, the tent of Hassan al-Khalili. Then it was followed by about 7 tents, before the number, after months, reached 30 tents. Village and family gatherings. In 1948, Khalil al-Barakji from the village of Al-Quaykat in the district of Akka took refuge in Burj Al-Barajneh camp after a long journey of displacement. He lived with his family and relatives next to the people of the village of Al-Quaykat. As Palestinians arrived in the camp in successive groups, the refugees gathered according to their villages of origin and set up their homes. Each village was intent on including their families in adjacent housing until the camp looked like a group of small Palestinian villages. Consequently, neighborhoods were named after the Palestinian villages from which the families came from first arrived, such as Jurat al-Tarashha due to the people of the village of Tarshiha in the Galilee. Ghabsiya Square, Al-Kabri, and other village neighborhoods were subsequently formed. Solidarity was not limited to housing, but included all social relations. The camps inherited customs and traditions from all areas of life in Palestine, which the residents brought with them. After the displacement of many Palestinians from Yarmouk camp and Syrians as a result of the start of the war in Syria in 2011, the number of camp residents increased and housing became limited. According to the General Census of Population and Housing, Palestinian Camps and Gatherings of Lebanon, conducted by the Central Statistic Department Lebanon and the Palestinian Central Bureau of Statistics in 2017, under the supervision of the Lebanese Palestinian Dialogue Committee, the number of residents living in the camp up until December 2017 was 18,351 individuals. According to the study, the demographic breakdown for Burj Al-Barajneh camp is 45% Palestinian refugees from Lebanon, 3.7% Palestinian refugees from Syria, 2.9% Lebanese, 47% Syrian refugees, and 0.7% from different nationalities. However, it is worth noting that these numbers are not entirely reliable, as independent sources indicate that in reality the camp population is higher.